Hey everyone, it's Petticoat from Daydream Nation, and today I've got a special guest, Brandon Battick from Disturbing the Priest. How are you, mate?
Great to be here. I'm doing pretty well for everything going on.
Absolutely. Interesting times, my friend. Interesting times. So, Brandon, over to you. What was your first encounter with the music of Dead Kennedys and this album?
Well, my introduction to the Dead Kennedys really started with thrash metal. I started out being a Metallica fan and then went into Megadeth. And I noticed a Dead Kennedys bumper sticker on Ellison's bass. And I wondered, hey, I've never heard of that band. I've heard of the name, but I really haven't listened to them. I'm going to go check them out. I started with Fresh Fruit and was in love ever since. I connected with everything about the Dead Kennedys, the punk lyrics, the satire, the surf guitar, just the really interesting songwriting. I love the progression. I listened to Fresh Fruit, then of course Plastic Surgery, Frankenchrist, and then I went on to listen to other stuff like Ministry and Guantanamo School of Medicine and other projects that Jello was a part of. But yeah, I really did connect with Bedtime for Democracy. I know it's maybe not their most popular release. A lot of people call it their worst album. Is it bad by any means? I don't think so. But my introduction to Bedtime for Democracy was Megadeth, funny enough, because of how much it influenced that band. And then by tracking their influences back, I was lucky enough to come across the Dead Kennedys. But I probably heard like Holiday in Cambodia or California Uber Alice at some point on like a Skate 4 or something or some video game. But yeah, really, my introduction was from Megadeth.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Dead Kennedys is pretty well known in the punk scene or the alternative music scene in Australia. They did a tour in, I think, 82, 83, which was infamous. Many of the gigs that they played, the police would come in because there were kind of riots and all sorts of mayhem was happening. So they definitely had a bit of a reputation and familiar with the songs and all those albums that you described. I actually had the pleasure of seeing Jello maybe 10 years ago, solo set, and he does a lot of the material from the Dead Kennedys and a lot of his solo stuff. But the context of this album, and that really got me into this was actually my introduction to Dead Kennedys and buying the album, was there was a lot of publicity in the music press just prior to this, around 85 or maybe 86, with the Frankenchrist album. And Jello's once shared that, and this is a direct quote, I've always known the value of having a really cool, really provocative album cover that's going to make me somebody else thumbing through a bin, pick it up and say, what is this? So they picked a H.R. Geiger sort of some artwork, which was quite controversial. It led into an obscenity trial. Jello was brought to trial over the album cover. He was accused of distributing harmful material to minors, despite the warning sticker included on copies of the album. So the court argued that including the poster, there was this poster, along with a warning sticker, would cause minors to buy the album, thus seeing Geiger's artwork. Although the case eventually fell apart and Jello was not found guilty, the lengthy legal battle was detrimental to the finances of Alternative Tentacles, the independent label run by Jello, and there was a heap of press. And this is in the context around 86 where there was a lot of, Congress were examining, what was it, the Filthy 13? You had
Yes,
the
Tipper
Tipper
Gore.
Gore.
Yeah.
There was a lot of argument about censorship and rock music, heavy metal, hard rock, and this was just all part of it. So that really piqued my interest in the album, and I bought it, and I fell in love with it. and went into the world of hardcore punk. But there's over 20 songs. They're all rapid fire, and it's I fell in love with the satirical, the social commentary, and the razor sharp insightfulness of Jello. So, why don't we have a crack at the songs? And I'll start it off. As I said, there's only 21 songs. The album runs for 48 minutes and 40 seconds, but to me, it doesn't. If you don't like one song, Brandon, it goes on to the next. So no song really outstays its welcome. Take This Job and Shove It. What do you think of this? This is a great sort of, it's the ultimate ode to giving it to the man. And I think it's a perfect sort of start to this album.
Right. It's a cover of a Johnny Paycheck song, I believe. It's a cover of a country record or a song on a country record. And, it makes a lot of sense because Jello did like outlaw country. He has the belt buckle, of course. And as a joke, they covered Rawhide on, I think it was an EP, if I'm correct. But yeah, so what was the question? Take This Job and Shove It. Yeah, it's a pretty great cover. Great way to kick off the album. Is it my favorite Dead Kennedys cover? I wouldn't say it is. I think it translates really well with their sound, though, I have to admit, especially listening to the original. And it's like, how do you even approach covering this as like a hardcore track? And they do it so well. The speed singing from Jello works really well. They just take this song and just dial it up to 11, really, and let's just play it as fast as possible, just as it is. They don't change too much. I believe from my memory, I believe the lyrics are exactly the same.
Yes.
Which you really don't have to change the lyrics. I know with Viva Las Vegas, it is a parody. It's not a cover, it's a parody song. And I feel like with a song like this, you don't really need to parody it at all because it's already saying a very Dead Kennedys message. And it's a great way to kick off the album. I really, in general, don't like covers. And the fact that this band is able to not only cover a country song, but have it introduce the rest of the album, I think, weirdly enough, works here.
It does. It's a burst of energy, and you could imagine this is the cue for a bit of moshing and pogoing, bang, right into it. And I love that little rolling bass in the middle.
Yeah.
That little bass interlude. But it's, the ultimate giving it to the man. And look, there's a lot of anger in this album because he was pissed off. What was happening to the world of rock and roll, like all the censorship trial. There's a lot of piss and vinegar in this album, and it's in the context of the Frankenchrist art saga. So,
I also want to say about that, I think there's a lot of anger against the punk movement in its entirety. You look at these tracks, and I think that's maybe why they went in this direction, because I love when the Dead Kennedys do longer songwriting with Frankenchrist. That's my favorite Dead Kennedys record. I love Frankenchrist. I think they work so well with a longer song format. They're able to really flesh out ideas, not only instrumentally, but some of the lyrics on Frankenchrist are just excellent and really go in depth, where I think Jello really had issues with what was going on with the punk movement. Well, especially reading some of these lyrics, they just trash the movement and decided, we're just going to put out a hardcore record. And I think that's maybe the biggest weakness of this album is it feels kind of like whiplash from Frankenchrist. It really does take a left turn. And I think it's all Jello's doing because he's trying to make a statement of punk is dying. Or not, it's not dead, but it deserves to die at this point. And I think musically, this whole album is a reaction to that. Now, I think that's kind of the weakness here, because I thought naturally going into a longer songwriting format works for them great. And I would have loved to see that in a sequel to Frankenchrist. We get a little bit of it here. We really do with maybe
Mm.
two songs like Chicken Shit Conformist and
Lie
two,
detector's a little bit longer.
yeah.
Yeah, look, I sort of disagree with you. I like the staccato, go in, come out sort of thing. It's rapid fire, and maybe it's because I've got a short attention span, but I like that because he's angry, and the backdrop, yeah, he's angry with the scene, but I think he's angry with the world and what's happening, and that I think that trial did really stain him a fair bit, especially on the economic side. So
Well, not
I
only the
think.
trial, yeah,
Mm,
and sorry to interrupt, but not only the trial, but there's that story where the police raided his house. They tore apart his entire house and like, where is it? Where is it? Where's the art? Where's the art? And Jello's
mm.
like, it's actually hanging up in a museum in France. It's just ridiculous.
Just
I'm not sure the exact quote where it was hanging up, but it was hanging up in a museum overseas. Just ridiculous, really ridiculous.
absolutely. Let's segue to chicken shit conformist because that really was just referencing what you were saying about his anger against the punk scene. I like this song because it does oscillate between something slower, almost folksy, and then it goes into this anthemic punk energy sort of rousing song. And it's definitely square right between the eyes to the punk rockers who abandoned the anti establishment and became conformists and sold out, so to speak. You know what I mean?
There's that line from the song, "Do we really need the attitude too?" Talking about the transition from a punk band being like, why don't we just be a new wave band? Why don't we just be an alt rock band at this point? It's getting more sales. Fans are starting to turn that way. And this song to me instrumentally is kind of the bridge between Frankenchrist and this record because it's a longer song. There's a lot of more meditative sections on here, but when it kicks off, it's like full hardcore. It really is a mix between Bedtime for Democracy and Frankenchrist, and I really love it for that. The lyrics here are just packed. Like this song is really just like the full overview of how Jello thinks at this point in the music itself, the punk movement, and where the direction is heading for music and just like extreme music like in its entirety, talking about metal as well here. He references, like, will the metalheads finally learn something, being like, well, you have all these Nazi punks, right? End up forming bands of their own and then getting signed to these metal labels and then putting out records. And then, the punk fans start listening to them. It's like, can't you see? Like, didn't I thought you cared about social issues and all this stuff. And now you're flocking to this group now. And the hypocrisy of that and everything. Jello is really a master when it comes to this kind of songwriting lyrically, and the message is conveyed so well here. Maybe I think on this record he's so motivated where the lyrics and the message does sometimes overshadow the music itself in a sense, but when it hits. Like even that line, like he, the like your parents, like mocking the people. Like he's so good at sending a message. And this song is just a masterclass at all of it. It's like it's
Yeah.
also maybe a sequel, a little bit of that song Pull My Strings as well, which was a single like way back, like one of the first songs they ever wrote. But wow, the dynamics here also are great. Such a good
Punk's
song.
yeah, Punk's not dead. It deserves to die when it becomes another stale cartoon. Um, Very accurate, and it sort of prophesized a lot of the cartoon punk bands that were coming out in the late '90s, the alternative ones. You know what I mean? And I don't think we need to name check. We all know those ones that were raiding the charts and became a little bit of a parody. So yeah, I think he was a lot of what he says in these lyrics became prophecies, became true, didn't it? So there you go.
Fortunately, so even worse than he probably assumed. like especially looking at some of the punk
Yeah.
bands now
Yeah.
and what it's like. Wow, like pop punk especially, it's like, gee, like Jello, you had no idea. You had no idea what you were foretelling with these lyrics. Like
Yeah.
there's so many Dead Kennedy songs even on this record where like you look at them now and go, wow, like
Mm.
not only are they true, but they're truer than ever, than even when they were back in the day. And again, goes to show how great of a band this is. It really does.
Yeah, absolutely. I've got a theory that I think it was part of the master plan that was this was the final album for Dead Kennedys. I think it was like, let's record it, go in and come out. That's it. I'm not sure that this band was built to last, even though they continued and they've done. Oh, gee, they seem to tour Australia with albeit a different lead singer every couple of years or so. But I think as far as he was concerned, this was it, the end. So
It
I
feels
really
like the
think,
end. Yeah.
yeah, I really think he went into this album. That's it. Um, Hop with the Jet Set. That's a funny satirical type of, bit of a poke at the lifestyles of the rich and famous, the ugly tourists, the disrespect to cultures, the super rich that travel the world, and they just don't care. What I like about this song is the rockabilly. There's a lot of rockabilly, and the bending of the strings and the surf drums. Do you like this song, Hop with the Jet Set?
Love this song. Love this
Mm,
song. That beat, that like riff, the da 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 is so good. And you look at things today, Taylor Swift taking like, a 2 mile flight. You know what I mean? And it's like, I think of a song like this. It's like, wow, again, like more relevant than ever nowadays. I love this track. I really do. It's very catchy too. The vocal melodies here are excellent. Like it's kind of layered vocals, but like hop with the jet set tonight, and then the da da da. It's just great songwriting. Like message aside, it's like you look at a song like this and you go, this is like really catchy. Like this is just such a great song, and it's a shame that the people that stopped after Frankenchrist, missed out on a song like this. Just a classic Dead Kennedys track.
yeah, I really think this is an ignored album. And I think maybe a lot of the DK fans may have jumped off before. What do you think? Maybe before they got to.
A hundred
I've read
percent.
so many reviews of this album and sort of sort of hardcore punk sites, and they really put the thumbs down on this album. I don't understand it. Rambozo the Clown. That's a real poke at the Reaganomics. Bedtime for Bozo, Rambo, the one of the two most biggest figureheads in the '80s pop culture.
Yeah, it's a great one. I remember when I heard this for the first time, this was a song where I really clung to it with first listen. First listen, this really clicked for me, especially Jello's delivery here is like, whoa, like he's hitting those notes. He's not just doing his vibrato, like especially that final chorus, the Rambo's a Rambo. Like I'm like, wow, he's really putting his soul into into the vocals. Now, for me, I think out of every Dead Kennedys record, the lyrics on here are great. Some of the best lyrics ever by the band, but some of them I think are a little outdated. Talking about Reaganomics and all that, and like Rambo, all the Rambo references. But I think this song is a banger. Like everything about it, like even for the time and now looking back at it, even though it's like kind of it's stuck in its time, it's definitely kind of a timepiece for sure. I can
Absolutely.
still appreciate it. I can still really appreciate a song like this, and the riff is just fantastic as well.
Like for metalheads. There's some good riffage in this band, and I love the lyric: "A cabbage patch terrorist to call our own, who rewrites history with a machine gun." No, he's on fire.
Yeah.
Flesh Dunce. Now, this is something that's very sort of relevant. People that appropriate underground culture and turn it into something for their own, you know. So this has got a breakneck punk tune, and it's got a lot of bite. What do you think of this one?
Yeah, this one has just such a good bass line. This is where like Klaus really stands out for me, where it's like, wow, this is one of the best bass lines on the record. And it's great. I think there are some great vocal layering on here as well, and just good energy. Like it's just a song that once it starts, it's full speed ahead. I return to this song a lot. Really good. Like just a classic. I think what's hard about a record like this is it's like by this point in the band's history for Bedtime for Democracy, their songwriting ability is just insane at this point. Like it's so fleshed out and developed, no pun intended. But when they hit the breaks and then Jello goes, we're going back to square one, we're going back to just hardcore music. A lot of their hardcore music was like, by the time they were writing those songs, like the riffs and stuff, it's very stripped down and everything, where they've gotten to a point in their career where they're writing some like really mature stuff instrumentally and just really complex songwriting. So you're taking that complex songwriting and then you're crunching it down to these like hardcore tracks, making these songs very unique. Like these are very unique tracks. It's not like I can listen to this and then listen to like a Black Flag song that sounds just like it. Like it's very unique to them. But at the same time, there's so many interesting moving parts and weird sections where by the time you start to appreciate it, you're on to the next track, where I think that is kind of a downside here. And this song, yeah, Flesh Dunce, it took me a few listens to really appreciate it because of that element of there are so many tracks on here. I think the number is 10 songs? No, that's half of it. 11 or no, however amount of tracks there are on here. There's just so many. It's just
21.
Track
21.
after track. 21. Yeah, 21
20.
songs. So, this is definitely an album where you need to listen to a few times to really appreciate the songs. And Flesh Dunce is, once that clicks with you and once you hear it and once you understand it, one of the best tracks on the album easily.
Yeah, yeah. Well, the irony is, and you're saying there are some subtleties that people may miss on the first listen, because there's even the guitar lines, these little nifty surf guitar lines. The vibrato. It's there's a lot happening musically. It's not dumb. I think the thing that really whips up the crowd. In a DK concert, and I've seen a lot of footage, is his voice. It's not just the fast breakneck neck speed of the guitar and the drums. I think it's his voice that's like it as an instrument, and that vibrato. That's the thing that really makes the crowd pogo and just go for it.
Yeah, he also has this Jello Biafra has an amazing ability to embody characters. Like a lot of these songs are from the perspective of certain people. And on stage, especially, he really not only like vocally, but physically embodies these people. And it's like theater. It's like punk theater almost. And it just amps you up so much. Police Truck is an example of that, where he pretends he's like, waving the baton around and everything. And that's a song from the perspective of a police officer. There's a few examples of that on here, but I think more than that, there's examples of him just like pointing a finger at the punk movement and saying, this is your fault. You need to do better. And there's so many like commanding vocal lines from him on this record that I think are fantastic. I also want to go out and say that I think this is his best vocal performance ever on
Yeah,
this album.
I wouldn't. I
It's so
wouldn't.
good.
I wouldn't deny that. When I saw him live, part of the set, he was wearing a surgeon's gown and he had fake surgical equipment, and was splashing blood on the on the stage. So he is really performance art.
I'm so jealous you got to see him. That's awesome.
Yeah, he hasn't done much. I've looked at his discography, Brandon, and he hasn't released any material for at least 5 years. So
It's been a while.
probably,
Yeah.
yeah, it'd be yeah, he's due to put some stuff out. Triumph for the Swill. Now, this is a very topical one. So, this is talking about the state of music and how the government would just prefer that everything is just nice and bland and non-threatening. And this is very much about the times of the Tipper Gore. And then there was the controversy about Ozzy Osbourne. You remember there was a Ozzy got attacked because some kid listened to Suicide Solution and committed suicide, and they were coming for him. But it talks about censorship, government control over music. What do you think of this song?
Well, yeah, I love that intro where it's like, we came home and our son was found dead with a gunshot wound and with a Ozzy record on the turntable. So we called our lawyer, and then it goes into the song. And yeah, the whole idea of this is like, the chorus, like government music, of like music approved by the government. Like that's not how it's supposed to be. It's like, be a better parent. It's not Jello's job to parent your kids or Ozzy's job to, raise your children. It's your job. You know, put your big boy pants on and raise your kid. It's kind of under the lines of that. Very energetic track, very energetic. Like this is one of the faster songs on the album, and I love it. Like about the whole satanic panic and all that. Just such amazing energy in this song.
Yeah, the call and response is quite aggressive. It's frenzied, it's mad. This is probably one of the more hardcore songs on the album, but boy, oh boy, the lyrics are just biting. I love the lyric. If the Doors or John Lennon were getting started now, the industry wouldn't sign them in a million years.
Yeah,
So,
that's great.
yeah, like
Yeah,
Bing
just so
Crosby
good.
before them, government music, too idiotic to be real. So he's really angry, and as I said, this is right wrapped up in the times of the Filthy 13, the Satanic Panic. Just
Right.
um, boy,
There's some good
folks.
riffs on here too. There's some great
Yes,
riffs on this song. The like it's just so many like riffs and just like Klaus and East Bay just go off on this song. Like there's so many moments where I'm like, are they going to go into like technical punk or something? Like just the
yeah.
twists and turns here are just like, wow, they've just come so far. You
I'm going to
know,
throw. I'm going to throw you a question without notice. Bands like SOD, Stormtroopers of Death. Do you think they were listening to the Dead Kennedys? If it wasn't for DKs, you wouldn't have albums like that because that's similar. Rapid fire songs, 1 or 2 minutes. Some are even like 30 seconds. Diamonds and Rust.
well, that was like the classic hardcore thing, right? To have like, let's see who can make the shortest song. And there's so many songs in the crossover thing. Lawnmower Death is a UK thrash metal band where their album has like, it's a single disc. It has 40 songs. You know what I mean? So it's very classic for bands to do that. Dead Kennedys, they have that song, short song. You know, I like short songs or whatever, which was I think it was a commentary on labels and stuff. Shorter the better, so we can put it on the radio and all that, and or maybe from a DJ or perspective or something. But yeah, it's so classic in punk. Black Flag also has some of those shorter songs as well. So yeah, definitely. And hearing it here, it's such whiplash from Frankenchrist. It's like, whoa. Like I feel like the progression, especially, just to do a little tangent real quick about the progression of their albums, where it's like, well, like, with Plastic Surgery Disasters, it's like you have songs like Riot, and I Am the Owl, which is them kind of like, inching towards Frankenchrist, and then Frankenchrist, and then maybe they potentially like wrote themselves into a corner a little bit. And they go, wait, we're a punk band. What are we do? These are, we're writing like these epics. There's only like 7 songs on this album, so I guess they're going into it with 21 tracks here. And yeah, I It's crazy. It's such an interesting progression of albums.
Yeah, let's throw to Lie Detector, the last track on the album, which is a really interesting one. Sonically, it's got wild guitar work, that psychobilly type of guitar work, the bending of the strings. What do you think of this?
Yeah, I don't think it's the most solid song on the album, but the riff, like the main riff of Lie Detector, is great, and kind of just the obsession of everyone wanting to know the truth. And yeah, it's good. Some pretty just like solid commentary as well. Like a pretty fast one, right? Isn't this like how long is this one? It's like
3 minutes, 43 seconds.
all right,
Yeah,
so not that bad.
yeah.
It's a pretty medium sized song, but yeah, I know that main riff on this really does stand out to me.
Are there any others that you'd like to showcase that we haven't?
Oh yes, oh yes. Yeah. So Cesspools in Eden is my favorite song on this record. That bass line, the do 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 do, it's like this like disco for the undead, and then the guitars creep in where it's got these like echo effects. It's something that could have easily been on Frankenchrist.
Yeah, it's like
Um,
guitars from the Cramps. Remember that Cramps band?
right,
The
right.
Psychobilly. It's like, yeah, it's like
So cramps.
yeah. I hear a lot of Cramps on this album.
Yeah, maybe East Bay was getting into the cramps during
Yes.
this record or something, but uh even there's parts that I feel like maybe wouldn't work on paper, but Jello going oh, and then going like oh yeah, like it's so good. His vocals really are excellent on this, and him kind of like embodying the setting of this song, like just how he talks, like it stings like hell. Like he talks like he's in the song, like you can picture him experiencing the lyrics here, and just so good. Like also the title Cesspools at Eden, like classic Dead Kennedys track, classic example of what you're saying about the album cover, where Jello's whole idea is like, I want people to flip through albums and see one of our album covers and be like, what the hell is this, and then flip over the album and see the crazy track list. And this is a song that where it's like, what the hell is this about? And it really is one of my favorite songs on the record, about industrial pollution, and just the
Yeah.
consequences of that. So good.
I'm going to reach out and say I think Jello likes Elvis. There's a little bit of Elvis. If Elvis was hardcore, go through that prison.
A
Yeah,
100%. I agree. I totally agree. Viva Las Vegas,
yeah,
and
totally
he
badass.
holds those notes like Elvis sometimes. It's so funny.
Yes,
It's so funny.
yes.
I love and he weaponizes that in a sense with some of these songs, like when it calls for it. And there's a song on plastic surgery disasters where it's like it's talking about like idolizing Elvis, where it's like buying all the Elvis statues, or it's like liquor bottles in the shape of Elvis, and how the new society will find those and think that was like our god or something. Like just so funny. The commentary from Jello is amazing, and just the use of satire, a masterclass in satire.
Yeah, absolutely. But look, the album cover is something to behold. I think when I was a teenager and I pored over it, it's got that so much detail, and I will put some up on this show just to go through it. I've
And I
got
have a
a
prop as well.
yeah, I've got a recollection that there was a newspaper that came with this. I must have lost it, but I reckon that I bought this in the day, and there was a newspaper fold out, and it was all about different things that was happening in his world, and it kind of related to the album, but I've lost it. So maybe the folks that are watching this show can sort of correct me if I'm wrong.
Well,
But
I know the repress doesn't have it, unfortunately, but if that's
no,
true, that's amazing. That's so awesome.
yeah, yeah. But I think it's a classic album. A lot of the topics are relevant in 2026. They sound fresh. And because he is arcing back to a lot of, sonics that go back to rockabilly and the early days of classic rock, albeit sped up, it sounds fresh. It doesn't sound dated.
It does. It really does. And I do want to also say about this record is it's very unique. You have like Pot Shot Heard Around the World, where it starts with this really weird intro, the bum bum. Like, what the hell? Like, it's really unique. Like, this is such a standout album because it's like something I really haven't heard before in hardcore. Um, and I do find, though, if I'm going to be a little critical, that Jello does kind of milk the cow dry here lyrically, because with 21 tracks, there's so much you can only talk about. Like Shrink's a funny song, Anarchy for Sale is really cool too, about kind of consumerism in punk. Um, but like Great Wall, it's like I feel like we're getting to the point where it's like, it feels a little bit like a de-evolution where it's like, yeah, big empires will build walls, where before where like a growing boy needs his lunch is like this is just like master lyrics, where here I feel like maybe we're like kind of, and it goes to your point of like this being the last record, is this kind of feels like
Yeah, I
the
think it's
cow
like,
has been milked,
yeah, I think it's like the physical graffiti of punk, hardcore punk. There you go.
Sure.
Attack me.
That's a statement. That's a hell of a statement.
But look, that's what I do on this show. I just
Also produced by Jello, this album.
it's very crisp, very crisp.
Yes.
Good separation of the instruments. I think it sounds great. It really pops out of the speaker. Look,
especially compared to their last records, which just like the production was rough. Like here, it's like, wow, it's definitely a step up, way big step for sure.
One thing you've got to say, he's a man of integrity in the sense that he hasn't deviated and sold out. He is what he is, and he's remained pretty constant.
Well, the Dead Kennedys are under some heat right now. I'm not sure if you've seen the whole thing revolving them. And Jello called them out for it. Jello makes some great music still. Like he makes amazing music. When he was with the Melvins, his current band was great. Lard was fantastic. He's so good. He is so great. And I feel like he doesn't really have a bad record. Even his country album with Mojo Nixon is fantastic. So good. And it's crazy to even say out loud, but Prairie Home Invasion. Check it out if you haven't.
Absolutely. He'll never reunite with the band. I think they're done.
I think the nail in the coffin was definitely what happened recently with this festival. But yeah, because it was just like this festival, I'll just say it as like just, generally politically as possible, but like this festival was run by people who donated to, a political president or a president who definitely has opposing views with the band. And the band still decided to do the festival. And then the festival got canceled because of the backlash of the people running the festival donating to the president, because it's like, this isn't really punk, And then Dead Kennedys decided, out of all the bands that dropped, Dead Kennedys decided to stay. And then the whole thing got canned. So it's like they didn't even get to be like, we're separating ourselves from this. They decided to take the paycheck. It looks so bad. Also, their current manager is like the guy who runs Journey and all that. And that happened after Jello left, which is like, they just went right into becoming a legacy band. And they got the Rent the Jello on stage as well. That's a whole episode within itself, but
I think we've got to cover that because like they're still plying their trade. Jello's gone solo. They're got a new singer, and they're just going down that path. And they see bands like Green Day, Offspring, Blink 182. I'll have a bit of that. It must be really tough where, I'm not talking about Jello because I think he's a man in integrity because he wouldn't go down that path. But they're thinking, well, they say they're influenced by us. I'll have some of that
Right.
and
And
doing
whatever
whatever
you
they
think,
can. Mm.
exactly. And whatever you think about the dead Kennedys and Jello and the whole lawsuit and alternative tentacles and potentially Jello withholding money from the dead Kennedys, you also have to acknowledge that the dead Kennedys like sold out completely. Like it's a joke. Like singing these songs about these people when like it's like you are the song that the lyrics are trashing now. And the whole idea of them rewriting lyrics to make them more up to date. For example, like MTV Get Off the Air rewritten to MP3 Get Off the Web, like is so dumb. It's like wow, you really did need Jello for the lyrics because now it sounds even more outdated. And just saying that out loud, MP3 Get Off the Web,
Yeah.
it's just so
Well,
dumb. Like it
yeah.
doesn't even like sound. It's not catchy. It like
Mm,
Jello. Not only is he writing great lyrics, but he knows how to write like a good melody, and he knows which lyrics to use for his melodies. So it
mm.
has a flow to it. You know what I mean? He's not just this masterclass lyric writer. Like he is a great songwriter, and I feel like that's maybe the most underrated part about Jello is he is a master at writing songs. He really is. And he was the Dead Kennedys. He
Yeah.
was sitting down with the band and being like, hey, this part should go into this part. You should make a part that sounds a bit like this, and then I'm gonna have my friend just sing these crazy like female vocals over it, stuff like that. Like
Mm,
it was a complete mastermind by him. And
mm.
I don't know. People, I feel like, oversee that when it comes to Jello. Why don't you think the Dead Kennedys ever wrote material after bedtime? Because it would sound nothing like the Dead Kennedys because Jello was the Dead Kennedys. So
Yeah, I
I don't
think
know.
their best bet would have been to regroup, different name, and start again. But no, I understand it's the name, and they want to get punters to the gigs, and they've got to continue it on. So there you go.
Anarchy for sale, Peter.
Absolutely. And on that note, Brandon, it's an absolute pleasure. Apologies for the technical issues. We've just had a few problems, but we got through it. Fantastic to have you on the show and talking about, the dead Kennedys, and we'll get you back on the show. Got a ton of stuff happening in 2026. Check out Brandon's channel, Disturbing the Priests. I'll put the link below. Tell us what you think of. Oh, there you go.
Thank you,
Love it.
Peter.
Love it.
Yes.
Uh, Tell us what you think of the Dead Kennedys, what you think of this album. We love reading your comments. Please like and subscribe to Rock Daydream Nation. We're a universal church. We talk about all things rock. Doesn't have to be metal, hard rock. Punk is also included in our church. But one thing's for sure, Brandon and I will be talking more things. Check us out. All the best and cheers. See ya.